peoples of the worldwide federated internet. What's good? All right, what's going on, people? This is kind of going to be random podcast for random thoughts. This is my youngest son right here. Actually, what we did want to talk about or something that I kind of brought up to him is this bombing in Tennessee.
Actually, I brought it up to you.
You did. That's right. You did. He brought up. Come on. He brought up the bombing in Tennessee, but
5 minutes in.
But I brought it up as far as what you wanted to talk about.
Oh, okay, got you.
So. The reason I wanted to talk about it is when I looked into it and tried to find out some of the details, some things seem odd.
It's because there's a lack of details. That's the thing. But it like happened this morning, so
it did.
Maybe in like a week or so we'll know more information.
Right. It's just so this is the odd things to me. A random RV or camper, whatever it was. I think it was a camper.
Yeah. No, it was a camp. So I saw, like they showed a picture of it before like it happened. So you know one of those were like really big ones. Okay. It was one of those. This is why the explosion was so big.
Okay, so I wonder what kind of explosive was used. I mean, that's kind of,
as of now they're not sure. Like they just put. I was watching a video and they like had just got bomb people on the site like 3 hours ago. Sorry, put the mic on my face.
It's okay. So here's what I do want to say in reference to this, and I've said this before, so this kind of leads into gun control. I've always said that the ridiculous thing about gun control is if somebody wanted to do massive damage, a gun is actually the least of our worries.
I could build a pipe bomb. I can buy the components for a pipe bomb and not buy a gun, and I could make a pipe bomb.
So here's the thing. Common household goods you can use to make explosive. Right? Most people know this. Even without any kind of training and without even looking up any videos, you can kind of concoct something. Anybody can do that. This is not something that just cannot be done at all. Now, I'm not saying that everybody's going to do that, but I think banning guns is not going to eliminate things like what happened in Tennessee.
Exactly. I think what I get most sus about, right? A lot of times when they make all these gun control laws, you look at it, it's trying to edge out the normal working person. Like it's becoming more and more expensive to own a gun every year. Like ammo went up like substantially in the past 5 years alone. And like the amount of things you have to do to keep your gun license, it's gotten to become more and more expensive to where it's like all these people who are telling you, oh, you don't need guns. They have their own security force. They have their own security stuff. They can afford stuff like that, right? The normal American can't afford something like that. So like a gun is probably the best way to go. And it doesn't make any sense. All these rich people who can afford all these security details, who can afford to get around all these gun laws are telling me what I should do. You get what I mean?
Yeah. And not only that, you also have to contend with the fact that, like, let's talk about during the pandemic.
Oh my! Gun sales went up.
Not just that.
1,000%.
Not just that. What about ammo? I cannot find ammo right now. Now here's what I've been thinking. Okay. Ammo right now is, depending on what you want to buy, crazy expensive.
It's because the need went up.
Crazy expensive, like out of this world. So what I'm seeing is the very people, well, some of them, I'm not going to say all because it's not like I know exactly who it is that's buying guns, but I think some of the same people that were arguing for gun control laws are now seeing the necessity for firearms.
Yeah, when I started seeing someone like Tim Pool buying guns, I was like, "Whoa!"
You knew.
Oh, it's getting serious,
yeah,
huh?
You knew. But so back to because I know I can ramble and get on tangents. Yeah. Back to the Tennessee thing. The thing that's odd to me is we had this contentious election, which for all intents and purposes is still not over, contrary to what the mass media tells you now.
I don't know.
For the technocrat YouTube overlords, I am not saying And I am not implying that the election was stolen due to widespread voter fraud.
Exactly.
I am not implying that, YouTube technocrat overlords. I am merely saying that this election was odd.
You ever see Futurama?
Yes.
You know, Hypnotoad?
That's
what that sounded like just now. It's like YouTube overlords. I am not saying in any way.
I'm just letting them know because
but looking at it logically, even if they can prove some things did happen, it's 99% chance Biden takes it.
Yeah, so the unfortunate thing, and we were kind of talking about this before I started recording, is we have enemies without and within. The thing is, our enemies without would be smart enough to, if it was okay, let's say widespread voter fraud did happen. We have state-sponsored enemies, right? Like the Chinese Communist Party. Not Chinese people, and this is where people get mixed up when they talk about governments. I'm not saying the Chinese people and American people are at odds. I'm saying the Chinese Communist Party government and some people within the American government are at odds.
Right.
Some people within the American government are in a pocket of the Chinese. That is a fact. Fact checkers, you can go ahead and try to fact check that if you want, because I will come back with receipts.
Interesting thing here. I have a friend who's I'm not gonna say his name, but you know the one friend I know from Asia who's like really like tapped in everywhere at Beijing. Right. So he told me that like a lot of the Chinese mafia, that something's about to go down in China, like something big. Like he doesn't know what, but it's a lot of people like moving stuff and like moving assets and stuff like that, and like certain people are getting together and talking, and China's not
as stable as it looks.
No, it's never been stable.
Yeah, it's never really been stable.
Even like when the Mao stuff was going on, people were moving to Hong Kong like crazy.
So
and that's why there's so much like division between the people who believe in Hong Kong and the people who don't.
So do you think that maybe, because I've thought this before, maybe China is like an animal that's injured, backed into a corner, and just bringing out everything to try to keep itself alive?
Yeah, here's the thing, right? China is a perfect example of what happens when you let the few control the many, right?
Good point.
So it's a lot of I'm trying to think of the word. It's a lot of like people who are higher up in the Chinese government, and the Winnie the Pooh dude, their prime minister just made himself minister for life, right?
Would you call him Winnie the Pooh? That's hilarious. YouTube is definitely pulling this video down.
I was not talking about their leader. I don't even know who that is. I'm just talking about somebody else.
I don't care. Let them pull it down. I'm on other platforms. Rumble, the thing is, BitChute. Just so you know.
Right. I was watching a Tim Pool video about there was a lady whose parents went through like everything they went through with Mao and like the revolutions or something like that, like the social revolutions.
Right.
And it was weird because like people would out their parents as people who didn't support the CCP.
That's crazy.
Like that. And like they did this thing where you could it was like a suggestion box where you said like problems you have with a CCP, right? And they would say, we'll take everybody's suggestions into account, and like they tallied all those up, took those people and killed them. And it was
sounds about right.
I was like, it's so crazy because this is the type of stuff that people want. Like they want government to start taking over more things, and it's not. Here's the thing: whenever somebody starts talking about stuff like this, and they're saying, "Oh, I don't like government doing stuff," it's not like I don't like government doing things, because like I do think that there are certain things that the government is essential for, right? I just don't think the government should be in every single pocket of our life. That just seems...
I agree.
I don't trust... Because the amount of stuff the U.S. government has done in the past, like, 80 or so years, I don't trust them enough to be in charge of, like, my day-to-day life and how I live.
Well, I don't trust any government to be in charge of my day-to-day life.
Yeah, I was just speaking.
But no, I agree. I don't trust any government to be in charge of my day-to-day life, but I definitely... So, how can I say? I feel like to some degree people have been trained into being government dependent, or what's the phrase, codependent, right?
Yeah.
Like they can't survive without you. You need the government involved in all of these different aspects in order to solve an issue. I'm not against government. I'm thankful for the government system we have. I just wish we would actually abide by the U.S. Constitution as it was written.
I kind of want to.
That would be nice.
I don't know anything about it now, but I've been thinking about doing some research into like libertarian towns or something like that, or towns that like move towards less government, see what happened there.
So the thing about libertarians, and me and my boy Pete talked about this. Libertarians have a lot of good ideas. Where they lose me is
they want no.
Yeah, it's like
United States Armed Forces.
Well, you do need some rules, right? Because and this is where we part ways. The Bible says the heart is deceitful and desperately wicked above all things. Who can know it, right? So with that wickedness lying there, do you want that wickedness without any kind of check? Yeah. Without any kind of some of my libertarian bros, look, I hear you. I definitely appreciate your views. I think Maj Toure is more of a moderate libertarian, because you know, like most libertarians, I say most, the common libertarian ideal when it comes to borders is actually open borders, like no borders at all. Yeah. I'm not rocking with that. And so
that's where they lose me with the whole freedom thing. Like, it's freedom.
So I'm
not lawlessness.
Right. I'm not lost with freedom. I'm all about freedom. But to say that we don't need any, because think about it. Even if we had no central government at all, and because I definitely get the libertarian standpoint is we can do these things locally.
Yeah, because they agree more with like the federalist system working.
Right. And which I agree, we can do many things locally,
but to a degree.
Yes,
like not everything. They want to do everything, and it's like
I won't even say you can't do everything locally, but you do need some kind of central governance, in my opinion.
Some type of organization,
right? It's a necessity, right? Because you like, what's to prevent? Okay, so let's say if we had no central governance whatsoever, then what would have prevented the South from keeping slaves? Now, for all of you history buffs out there, don't get your panties in a wad. I know that the Civil War was about much more than just slavery. It goes a lot.
Say that, but that's the camel that broke the.
That's the biggest issue, right? That's the biggest issue. But there was other things going on as well, right? It wasn't just slavery, but slavery was
the North was getting
button.
Like mass industrialization, and that was causing the South to lose money.
Right, and there's a reason they wanted to keep their slaves. There was no good reason to want to keep slavery, especially the way it was. I'm just saying, I understand that there was more.
That's the only way they could keep up with the North.
Well, it was. The situation was more dynamic than it was static, right? Yeah. There was a lot more going on.
I think we're
slavery.
getting a little off topic. We're talking about the powers that be.
So what I was saying though is without some kind of central governance, the South would still have slaves.
Yeah.
And I hear, trust me, I hear libertarian heads popping all over the internet. I get it. I want small government as much as you. What I think is we need to just get back to constitutional originality. Right?
Oh my goodness. The amount of people that have been and that brings us back to the point of like people trying to like sow discord among America, because the amount of people that have been pissing. Can I say that?
You can say it.
Okay. Last time I was on here, I said a lot. Just completely just dookie all over the Constitution, and it's like they don't care that so much thought when it's like there's a lot of things in the Constitution I don't really agree with, but there's a lot of things in the Constitution I do agree with, right? That's with anything.
It's not a perfect document, but it's a great document.
That the first 10, like, you know, the Bill of Rights, the original 10, I think those were written pretty intricately to where I think they all make sense, right? And a lot of people are trying to piss on a lot of like what was laid down by our forefathers, talking about, oh, well, you know, the First Amendment actually means this and the Second Amendment actually means this. And like, if you look back, I forget who told me this, but there's an original draft of
Tim Pool mentioned it
of the Second Amendment that's like more explicit, like to like have arms and defend from a tyrannical government. I guess the actual Second Amendment.
Yeah, it actually is implied in the Second Amendment.
People are like, well, it's just for hunting, and I'm like,
here's the thing though. So everything has context, right? Like if I wrote something and you wanted to know, well, what did he mean? You would look into other things I said, right? when you read the Declaration of Independence and the preamble to the U.S. Constitution,
we hold these truths to be
everything else makes sense, right? And I think that's what we need to get back to is people who understand the preamble, people who understand the Declaration of Independence. You understand what was going on at the time.
What made me realize that a lot of people don't understand is when the impeachment thing happened. Because people don't understand impeachment. People thought, because I was like, you know me, I'm like a huge history civics guy, right? I paid a lot of attention in civics class. I like that was like probably one of my favorite classes. But I whenever that happened, I'm like, okay, he's impeached. That's okay. And what's gonna happen? You know what I mean? And people were like, "Oh, he's impeached. It's over." I'm like, "That's not what that means."
Yeah, that's not how the process works.
Not how it works. Even if the House is like, "Yeah, that's it," there's a Republican-controlled Senate, and there's no way they're gonna be like, "Yeah."
They weren't gonna sign off on it.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, so when people were saying all this, that's when I realized that the amount of uninformed voters in America was a larger number than I believed.
So this is I had this conversation with a friend of mine. We were kind of talking about this. I would like to believe that there's more people paying attention than not.
Well, probably now a lot more than ever.
Well, the unfortunate truth is, if you're paying attention, what are you paying attention to? Denzel Washington said it best. This is his quote. I can't take credit for this. He said, if you watch the news, you're misinformed. If you don't watch the news, you're uninformed. Yeah. What are we supposed to do? And I think the problem we have now is people paying attention to, I can't even call them journalists. They're bad actors, right? The mainstream media are bad actors. There's many independent sources that I listen to. Now I do my own digging. I don't just hear what somebody else says and parrot that without at least doing a little bit of checking.
My thing is, I think a lot of people are just tired. All this like politics in general. People like, if you don't care about politics, oh man, I have an argument I can say to this, but I'm just gonna keep it to myself because it'll definitely get you taken down.
What are you gonna say? Just say it.
All right. Okay. You sure?
Say it.
Let's
speak it.
So there's a lot of people on a certain side of the political aisle that say, people are like, oh, I don't care about politics because it doesn't really affect me, and they're like, well, you should care because it affects other people, right? But then when like a man brings up the abortion argument, it's like, well, it doesn't affect you. And I'm like, okay, well, your logic here is not adding up, right? Now, me personally, I don't care either way, right? But I'm just seeing people say this, and I'm seeing like how they move whenever people say they don't care about politics, and it's like, people don't have to care, right? Just like people don't have to care about what you have to say about certain things or what I have to say about certain things. I don't have to care about anything. You can't make someone care about something.
Right.
If you push them to a point where they start caring, it's not going to be genuine. They're just going to be caring out of fear, right?
Right.
And I think that's a huge problem now, because like me personally, right, it takes a lot for me to care about anything political that's going on, right? Like something will happen politically and I'll look at it and be like, it's probably something stupid. I don't really care. I'm worried about tech stuff. That's my expertise. That's what I pay attention to, right? So when something political happens, it has to be pretty freaking huge for me to start paying attention. And the fact that people are trying to like equate something that affects other people for me to care, and I'm like, that's just gonna make me care less. I'm gonna keep it like, I know you gotta be compassionate to other people and stuff like that, but if I'm not directly being affected by something, I'm gonna be less likely to like be inclined to be like, oh, I'm in this, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And I understand everybody's affected by politics, but to the extent that it affects me is not very big.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because in your idea, you actually expose something that may be our demise. What you said. You said if it's not big, you don't care about it.
I don't. I'm just being honest.
That's no. I'm glad you said that. And that, so this is why I think this might be our demise.
People not caring?
Yes, because you're not the only one that thinks that way. So this is what I learned when I was in my 20s. I say I was 20, 21 when I started really paying attention to politics heavily. So what I realized is, we think it doesn't affect us, but it does. I'll give you an example. Let's say you live in New York State.
Ooh, on purpose?
There's something going on in New York City, right? Some kind of gun law. You're thinking, this doesn't matter. That's New York City. It doesn't matter to me. What you don't realize is, when this law goes into effect, now there's something that's going to restrict you that lives in a rural town that this law literally doesn't apply to, but because you didn't care, because it was going on in the city. How does this affect me?
Yeah.
It does. And the thing is, a lot of these a lot of policies and a lot of things that we don't think affect us, we're just kicking a can down the road. It does.
The thing is,
it will.
It's you gotta admit, it's really exhausting.
So and
it's
this is
very exhausting. Like when the whole thing was going on, and like was it like not March, but the month after when the George Floyd stuff happened. I'm gonna keep it real. It was some important stuff. It was a lot of stuff that was just exhausting.
It was noise.
It was noise. I
was
getting so sick and tired of hearing it, where it was making like anything shoved down your throat, good or bad, you're gonna hate. You're gonna hate with a passion.
That's a fact.
And that's how I feel. I feel like that's how a lot of people around me feel. Like there's certain things I'll care about, and there's certain things people will bring up. I'm like, that's so stupid. Please shut up. Like I know that sounds bad, but it's like,
reality.
It's so. If only we could just take every news station and just shut them down and just have like places where people just say this happened, this is what happened, that's it.
Well, that's so again. So now you get me to my point. My point is when the president said the news media is the enemy of the people, he was more right
most
than
effective
many
devil
people
in America.
Yeah, exactly. He was more right than most people gave him credit for. Because, so you know the reason why people are exhausted. They are exhausted because who wants to get off work, right? You spent 8 hours at a job. Some people love their job. Some people don't, right? So you spend 8 hours at a job. Let's say if you're working and going to school, or let's say you're just going to school. How many people want to get home after a hard day, let's say in a physics class, right? And go and sift through like personal. Look, sift through hours of news stories and then try to verify which one of those stories are true, and which one is false.
There's not enough time in the day to
so it just makes you not care. So it's just like, well, since I don't know what's true, I just don't care. Now
that's like my
here's
exact
the thing.
Situation though.
Here's the thing. Was that by design?
You think this was on purpose?
What if our enemies, which this is not, so let me tell y'all something. This is a problem I have with some people that write off everything as a conspiracy theory. Let's go back to the root. For those of you who believe the Bible, which I would venture to say most of my listeners are Bible believers. So let's take a walk. There's a literal devil that conspired against God in the beginning, right?
He's still conspiring.
Still conspiring. Was influential in the first murder, Cain slaying Abel. Was influential in the first violation of God's word in the garden. Influential in men doing all manner of wickedness throughout history. We have historical proof of conspiracies. We have Caesar being stabbed in the back, conspired
17
against.
times.
Okay, why do we find it so hard to believe that we might have an enemy that's making moves to destroy our country? Why is that so hard to believe? You are naive. You are naive, supremely naive, if you do not believe that there are actors in play seeking to destroy the United States. You're naive.
If anybody, okay, two things, right? Anybody who knows the origin of the word conspiracy, right? It was when people would like say like the Kennedy assassination was sus, and like was it the FBI or was it CIA? CIA coined that word. They said, "Oh, it's a conspiracy." That's where the word came from, right? And we know now
that's where the negative connotation of the word came from.
And we know now that there was a lot of sus stuff pertaining to the Kennedy assassination, like 40, 50 years later.
Very suspect,
right? And if you know anything about Operation Paperclip, it's when they took scientists and like
from Nazi Germany.
Was it just scientists or was it generals?
It was scientists.
Oh, so they took scientists from Germany and they put them in very integral parts of the United States government, right? And like that was around the same time the Red Scare was going on, or the Red Scare started, right? Yeah. And I'm just saying, look, it doesn't matter what you believe. It doesn't matter if you're socialist, communist, capitalist, anarcho-capitalist. I don't care, right? You cannot look me in the face and tell me that this past year has not exposed a lot of suspect stuff that's going on in our government and governments
throughout the world. Oh, no doubt.
If you look into what's going on with what was the hacking thing? I forget. I said the name of it.
Solar winds.
You cannot look me in my face and tell me there's not some type of foreign or domestic enemy that is trying to destroy the country from the inside, right?
Facts.
I'm no conspiracy theorist, right? I'm a computer scientist. I just do computer science stuff all day. But from my perspective, looking at something like solar winds that happens, right? That's not Nothing like that happens on accident. That's not a coincidence. Okay, it is a concerted effort to get into integral parts of the United States government and inside the fact that they got into the Department of Energy.
Yeah,
that was one of the places that's huge. That is
very huge.
That is a lot
bigger than people think.
Omega level threat.
This is where nukes are controlled.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And I'm sitting here and I'm looking at all this, and like even me not paying like a lick of attention to most of the stuff that's going on. I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay,
this is gigantic. This should be on weird. Every now. Let me ask you a question. How many major news organizations did you see really covering that heavily?
No, none of them covered it. Tim Pool covered it.
He's
pretty big. He gets like millions of views every week.
Ben Swan.
Yeah.
Ben Swan covered
Nobody else.
There were the independent.
I'm surprised CNN hasn't jumped all over this because they said it was Russia.
That's hilarious.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, it is pretty funny. But so
I think it was China.
I'm 98.9999% sure it was China. There's a possibility it was somebody else, but the thing is, the biggest enemy we have right now, and I'm not talking about the Chinese people. I always make that distinction.
Chinese Communist Party.
The Chinese Communist Party is the biggest enemy of the United States, in my opinion, right now.
You know what I've been okay. I'm not gonna expose myself and say the name, but I do have a TikTok, right? And I'll be on the For You page, and a lot of the stuff I'm seeing, a lot of people are like, it goes from people like just like having like these long captions in their videos about like communist stuff, which I'll read a lot of them. Like I don't, whenever I'm looking at something, even if I don't agree with it, I'll listen to it and be like, okay, well, he might have a point with this, he might have a point with this, and just think about it, right? But there are a lot of people on TikTok that are like very communist, and I think that I don't even like follow communist people and stuff like that, but I still get their videos in my recommended. I don't even like them. I'm just like, I just watch them, right? And I still get that stuff like put in my face. I think it's a concerted effort to subvert the what's the word? What's the word for like you're young freaking
the youth?
No. It's I think they're trying to subvert the youth and use their exuberance to start a economic or a social revolution like they had back when Mao was in his like.
One of the biggest things used by communism is something called useful idiots. It's people,
and then you know what they do when they're done?
They kill them.
Yeah,
they always kill the rebels.
Kill them all.
They kill the rebels that help them take over. That's always the first step.
Because they know that if they stay alive, they'll do the same thing once they realize they're not grass ain't always greener.
It's so this is the thing. Like, so I'm not gonna feign too much wisdom on the TikTok situation. I know China owned TikTok. They were supposed to sell it off to a U.S. company. I don't know if that ever happened.
No,
allegedly,
it didn't.
Allegedly, it happened. I don't know. I didn't keep up with it. But
if it did, the U.S. company is definitely owned.
Oh, look, Google is owned by China. Look, and me saying that is probably going to get this video banned. But
delete.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Hate speech.
You can go follow me on Anchor, and I will be creating a Rumble page for this podcast. So go follow me on Anchor, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcast, The Thinkening, just in case this video is pulled down, which it probably will. But I'm so tired of censoring myself.
My fault.
No, look, my videos have been. The thing is, I am not a tinfoil hat guy.
I am.
This is what I mean.
Did you hear about the alien thing?
Hold on. I'm gonna show you what I mean. I'm not a tinfoil hat guy in that I am not going to spout off something that I don't at least have some kind of circumstantial, like good circumstantial evidence to point to what I'm saying. And why I say that is you do have some guys that just, men and women that get on video and they just
Alex Jones be off it sometimes.
The thing is, a lot of the things Alex Jones says is right, but his presentation is so spastic that it's like, bro, you need to rein that in and get focused.
Do you remember the Joe Rogan podcast 2 years ago that he was on?
Yes.
A lot of the stuff he talked about,
true. 100% verifiable.
People said he was crazy. Yep. The organ harvesting thing.
Yep.
The Uyghur camps.
Yep.
Apparently, my friend who's from Beijing said the Uyghur camps have been going on for like 30 years.
Wow.
30 years.
That's crazy.
That's why that's why. So the reason there's more outrage about it in America than China, that's just a normal part of Chinese life there. Like that's been going on since like the 80s.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, so I don't think anybody knows this, but the Uyghur camps is not a new thing. And apparently, I was watching a Tim Pool video. I watch a lot of Tim Pool. and he was talking about how there's rumors
one of the most
that
trusted sources of media right now.
that they're biomedically engineering people, which I wouldn't put out of their own possibility.
Again, nothing shocks me.
But
as far as the
off
wickedness
topic a
of
little
man.
bit that I was thinking about when you said that, there was an ex-Israeli space official that said aliens and the Galactic Federation are real, and they're hiding it till we're ready.
Yeah.
I think that's true.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's true.
So I'm
tinfoil hatting that. That's true.
I'm gonna say this. There's things that are unexplained, and that's why I mean, to make an audacious statement like that, you need a little more. It's kind of like the election stuff, right? Yeah. Like there's a lot of circumstantial evidence that leads me to believe something happened. Now, what that something is, I don't know. But if it was some state-sponsored actor behind that something, what they did was they did what I call the girlfriend-boyfriend syndrome. Do you know what that is? I'm gonna tell you what that is. I've never had a girlfriend. Okay, I'm gonna tell you this dude. I'm gonna tell you what the boyfriend girlfriend syndrome is. When someone cheats on you, narcissists do this a lot. You don't have evidence, right? But you know, why is my girlfriend or my wife or my husband getting up at, 1 o'clock in the morning randomly going off with his phone? Why is he always guarding his phone? Why is he home late all the time? Why does he never want to spend time with me? Why does she never want to spend time with me? Why did she or he put a privacy screen on her phone, right? So all of that is circumstantial, right? Here's what the boyfriend girlfriend syndrome is. You have enough circumstantial evidence that you know something is wrong, but you can't
prove it.
You can't just tell them this is going on because you can't prove it. Right. This is what, in my opinion,
they're giving you just enough to be like, this is weird, but not enough to be like, yo.
Right. And this, in my opinion, is what happened during this election for the YouTube technocrat overlords. I am not saying that widespread voter fraud stole the election from Donald Trump. I am not saying that. I am saying something odd happened. I don't know what it is. That's what I'm saying for the YouTube technocrat overlords who are listening.
There was no election fraud. Joe Biden won by a fair margin.
Whatsoever. Joe Biden is one of the greatest guys in history.
Kamala Harris has the best crime reform I have ever seen.
Joe Biden got more votes than any president in U.S. history. He must
be a great guy.
Yes, he is.
He must have no skeletons in his closet
None whatsoever.
Nothing
the
to do
Hunter
with sex
Biden
trafficking.
Laptop thing
that was fake.
Is so fake. It's so Russian fake. Disinformation.
Oh my gosh, the Russians! I'm telling you, even though they took money from them, the Russians.
Disinformation. That's disinformation too.
They gave them money just to say,
even though that's been proven, that's disinformation.
Yeah, it's disinformation.
Yes. So CNN fact checkers, I agree with you. Exactly. All of that is disinformation.
Snopes said.
They say so. So it is a thing.
Funny.
Hey, this is what you got. This is what you have to do. Now talking on social media. So for those of you who are listening who might enjoy this video, before it gets pulled down, go follow me on Anchor, Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, and other podcasting platforms. The Thinkening. Look it up.
So we've been getting off topic like for a while.
So we were
on the Discord in America. What's going on?
What a bombing in Tennessee.
I think we're on the eve of a civil war.
So how long ago did I say that to you?
Like 2 years ago. But Temple was saying the same thing.
It was longer than that.
Longer than that?
Yeah,
it was like 2016.
It was. I said that to you in.
How old was I? That's the question. Or what grade was I?
It was. So I think it was right after. It was right after Trump got elected. I said that.
Oh yeah, I was still on my Orange Man bad.
Yeah, I was like, I think we're on the precipice of a civil war, and the only reason I said that is, this is just me using common sense, right? I'm no prophet. I'm just paying attention to what's going on, and I'm like, if people can't talk, that's normally when fighting starts.
Yeah. Yo, did you hear about the Proud Boy stuff that happened? They were fighting Antifa right in DC.
You know what makes me mad about that? So Tim Pool had this lady on his podcast that was she ran for Congress. She's a liberal.
I think I know who you're talking
and
about. And she switched, didn't she?
No. She was always a liberal, but she's a quote unquote independent liberal. So okay. She was more reasonable, allegedly, and she was talking about why she voted for Biden. And she made a comment that let me know that she was uneducated to what's actually going on in the country. This is what she said. she made reference to the Proud Boys when the president said to the Proud Boys, "Stand back and stand by." So what she was saying is that he was calling to the Proud Boys, who she was alluding to being a racist organization, which they are not.
I voted for Joe.
They are not. The Proud Boys
Joe
are
Mama.
Not a racist organization.
They're run by a Nicaraguan guy.
And if you think that, now that doesn't mean everything they do is right. Right?
Oh, heck, they be
But
starting fights. I mean, they win.
Well, no,
fights.
I'm not gonna let you do that. They
started like 2.
Nah, they don't start fights. The Proud Boys don't start fights. The fights are always started with them. There's few situations where they have not instigated, but they threw the first blow. But those are few and far between.
I think they purposely tried to rile things up because they know they'll be fine.
Well, nah,
which is not smart.
I don't even think that happens.
I think they I'm gonna tell you. I think they do because remember when he was talking about how they literally like they would go to like the protests and the riots.
I'm gonna disagree with you. I'm gonna show you why I disagree. Tell me why the Proud Boys, a private organization, brotherhood, don't have the right to show up at a protest. Give me one reason.
It's not that they don't have a right. It's just a very dumb thing to do.
Okay, so what you're saying is
they can do it.
Hold on. Let me explain.
Good men don't look for fights.
So what you're saying is good men should sit by and allow Antifa to destroy cities. Make a counter argument.
I can't. But I'm just saying.
So at
I'm
what
not
point,
saying they're wrong. I'm just saying that's not how I would do it personally.
Let me now I'm not saying this is what I'm saying. I'm saying
you're saying they're right.
I think they are right.
I don't know. We're gonna have to disagree. Let me tell you I don't agree with anybody who's trying to get into violence.
I don't either. But let me explain something to you. I agree with you 100%. Even from a biblical standpoint, I'm not for anyone.
I really look for violence.
Yeah. Here's the problem. Here's the problem with making this that simple. When the Nazis took over, should people have went to where they were and engaged, or just did what they did and stood by and let them take over?
I have a joke for this, but I might keep it to myself.
Keep the joke to yourself, but seriously, the question.
I should.
You see what I'm saying?
But okay, but you look at it like this, right? Like if you went against them, you would die, and not everybody's ready to die for what they believe in.
All right,
so there's certain people that are. There's certain people who don't have that constitution.
All right,
you get what I mean?
Got you.
It's a very.
So the solution is let's let millions of Jews be killed in camps.
Oh, okay. I wouldn't personally do that. I'd be willing to die for what I believe in. But you can't expect everyone to be that resolute.
Agree. Okay,
that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm not saying I'm saying they were wrong. They're definitely wrong. But I'm not saying that people who didn't get involved were wrong. I'm saying they probably just weren't ready to die for what they believed in. So they're not wrong. They're weak.
So all right. So the Proud Boys have decided we're not going to be weak. We're not going to go there to start a fight, but we're going to show you're not going to intimidate us into thinking we can't show up just because you might get violent. What they're saying is we're going to show up and we're not going to start with you, but if you want to bring it, bring it.
Yeah.
So to me, that would be equivalent to someone telling you, like, let's say you were going to school, right? And somebody said, hey, don't walk down this hallway or it's going to be a problem. You're not, now look, hold on. Being serious. You're not looking to start a fight, but if you said, no, you're not going to stop me from walking down a hallway that I'm free to walk down.
I would be
now, I'm not going to look for a fight from you, but I'm going to walk down this hallway because it's where I walk every day.
That's what I'm saying.
So what I'm saying
it's not a matter of starting violence, it's a matter of standing up for yourself.
So what I'm saying is the Proud Boys.
It's just.
Well, hold on. Let me get back to my point. The point I was making is she was making it seem like the Proud Boys were a racist organization, and I said that proves to me that you, woman who has ran for Congress, really have no idea what you're talking about, and that's scary. You should have at least known enough about the Proud Boys to say, I don't like their tactics, but how the media tried to sell it when Trump said stand back and stand by. This is a brotherhood of people who love the country. That doesn't mean all their tactics are right, but to label them as a racist organization and for somebody who ran for Congress to run with that idea.
Well, here's the thing.
It's like, you're not paying attention.
Here's the thing.
You sleep at the wheel and you're going to be the one making laws. That's scary.
Here's the thing. AOC, right? I don't agree with everything she's done, but she did do this one bill with Dan Crenshaw about like lower, like having like term limits for Congress, which I liked. I like that. That was a great idea, right? But I think that a lot of the stuff she says seems a little ill-informed, and it's like
seems a little.
Can I finish my point, please? Dang, man, interrupted me. No, so I'm not saying everything she does is bad, but a lot of times when she'll say things, I'm like, okay, so you are in Congress, you are supposed to be like the people who control the country, and you don't know stuff like this. Like it's like when I hear Mitch McConnell talk too. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? This man is probably like one of the highest people in his party, and he's talking out of the side of his face. And when you see people like that running an entire country, that's a little scary. No, that's very scary.
Yeah, it's very scary.
Like,
it is.
I'm
gonna tell you what it is. I'm gonna tell you what I think it is. I think we have many politicians that have gotten rich off their positions, and they're comfortable doing the bare minimum as long as they can make their money. They really don't care. I think
that politicians should get paid less.
I think that there should be term limits. I think that. So I think.
Well, okay. Here's my argument against term limits.
Go ahead, and I'm gonna shoot it down.
You gonna shoot it down? You know what I'm gonna say?
Yep. I know
what am I gonna say?
Go ahead.
No, what am I gonna say?
You're gonna say that if you want to get anything done, and you want seniority, you have to be there for a while in order to.
False. That's not what I'm.
Okay, so what are you gonna say?
Say you have someone who's actually doing a good job, right?
Right.
And they're like doing work in their community, and the community is starting to get better, right? And then they leave because the term limit, and somebody crappy comes in and just destroys everything.
Okay, I'm gonna blow that away too. I'm gonna blow that away right now. Do you think President Trump did a good job as president?
He did the best. He did the best.
Okay,
he could do
let me stop you. Let me stop you because you're about to kowtow with your statement.
Kowtow with my statement.
Yeah.
What's kowtow?
Instead of just answering a question, you're gonna give a caveat.
All right, let me give you.
Hold on. I'm gonna give it. Let me make my question specific. I'm not asking you, did President Trump say everything right? I'm not asking you, did President Trump do what he should have done as far as curbing his language on Twitter? That's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking you right now, did President Trump do a good job as president? That's it. I'm not saying
logically,
perfect.
He did a good job.
Okay,
from my perspective,
stop.
He could have did better.
Stop.
He could have did better.
So
on a lot of things.
Again,
there's a lot of things he did.
Okay,
I can't say he did a 100%.
Okay, you're missing my point.
He did a bad job. Then he did a bad job.
Give me one president that did a perfect job in U.S. history.
George Washington.
Perfect job?
Yes.
Slavery was still going on.
Yeah, but there's nothing he could really do about that. He was kind of stuck in a rock and a hard place.
Okay, so
that was like the norm. Okay, that's why I don't like when people bring up that like certain people had slaves back in the day.
You're not letting me finish. You're not letting me finish. So that's the only thing? How much do you know about George Washington and putting down insurrections during his presidency when states were trying to exercise their freedoms?
He wasn't too happy.
Okay, so again, let me ask the question again. Did George Washington do everything right? He had George Washington. As much as we like to celebrate our founding fathers, and I love the founding of this country.
Especially when it was like subverting like the people who still support the Federalist Papers. He was kind of a dictator. But you can still say George Washington did a good job. Yeah.
I'm not asking you, was President Trump perfect? I'm getting somewhere with this because of your statement about congressmen.
Okay, so I didn't like him, but I think he did a decent job.
All I'm asking is, as president of the United States, let's go over some things.
Okay.
Opportunity zones. He said, black people, I agree with you. You've been getting a raw deal. We need some opportunity zones in the places you live.
I was about to get taken away pretty quickly.
He wanted to pull the troops out of all of these foreign wars.
Oh, did you hear about the general was lying to him about the amount
Yeah, hold on. All right. Peace deals in the Middle East. People said that could never happen. He's been negotiating, brokering many peace deals in the Middle East with different countries and Israel. That's huge. That's monumental, right? The economy, we had our unemployment rate was the lowest it has been in recorded history across the board. The economy was booming, right? Are all of those, could we make the argument that these are things that I want to continue? This is good.
So,
all right, hold on. I'm getting to a point.
Kind of a garbage person.
So,
did a good job.
That's irrelevant.
All right.
This is why I say that's irrelevant. Tim Pool made this argument before, and I agree with him. You got two plumbers come to your house.
Oh yeah. Okay, I know what you said. One of the
plumbers has a plumber's crack. He curses like a sailor.
Yes.
He doesn't look like a plumber should look. But
he did do a good job.
fixes your pipes. He saves you money, and your stuff is taken care of.
I don't like how he raised our taxes though.
But he was actually lowering taxes. Are you talking about the deficit?
No. So short term it did lower the taxes, but long term it was going to raise gradually to a point where it was more than what it was.
Well,
before.
and there's we can get into that. Like I said, my argument is not that everything.
Right. No,
he did was right.
I understand.
My argument is he did a good job.
He did a good job. Yeah.
He did a good job. All right. So in a second term, you'd have been satisfied with, this dude is doing a good job.
Second term, I wouldn't have cared.
Hold on. My point being is, if he did a good job the first term and the second term, would you say that he needs to be able to run again?
No.
Why not?
That's a dictatorship.
But you just use the same argument.
I think the thing is, it's levels, right? Like
okay,
when you're doing like local
I'm gonna show you how you misunderstand the government. Then you're proving my point. You don't understand how the government works.
No, I understand.
Okay, so why should congressmen and senators be able to have longer terms, but the president not?
Whoa. That's not what I was saying. I'm saying people like city commissioners and stuff like that. I'm talking small scale. So I think what was going on, we're misconstruing what each other were talking. So as far as like congressmen, stuff like that, yes, they need term limits. There's way too many lobbyists doing their thing, ruining everything. Way too many corporates being controlled by these big companies.
I think local officials need term limits too. I think they all need term limits. Let me tell you what that would solve. I'm gonna give you my standpoint. If you had term limits.
Wait, you know what? I think I just realized something.
What's that?
I think term limits would be kind of good because people who got there wouldn't just get there to have like a political job.
Bingo.
They'd be like, okay,
they're there because they want to be there. You would only get people who want to be there, who actually want to do what's necessary for the people.
Started to become a career. That's when it started to get bastardized.
I agree. I think
the fact that they get paid so much, might be getting paid 6 figures, man.
So look, I'm not gonna.
I am.
I could talk about how much they get paid, and
I'll talk about it.
The thing, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that we shouldn't look at that. I'm just saying that that's something that we can deal with after we first deal with term limits. Like that's the first thing.
Yeah, the fact that there are these really like old dudes that are still running the country, like I'm pretty sure a lot of them don't even understand how the country works anymore.
So I'm not gonna bring up age in that regard. I'm not going to. I'm gonna tell you why. Because it's not, for me, it's not about you being too old. To me, it's about you being out of touch.
Do you remember?
And this is what this.
Okay,
hold on.
I'll concede to that.
Yeah. Because look, Trump, as far as
he's the most social media savvy president we've ever had. This man on Twitter. This man on Instagram. This man was subtweeting other government officials. So I'm like, what?
Yeah. So I'm saying he's at least tapped in enough to know how the people are conversing, right?
Yeah.
He at least understands that. That doesn't mean he understands all tech, because there's a lot of things he could have done better.
And not having people who are just used to like what worked in my day will work now, right?
Right. It's not always true.
You remember that what was it? Was the court case with Facebook? Remember the type of questions they were asking this man?
Goodness. You talking about the hearing?
Bro, y'all gotta be next level stupid to be asking these type of questions. They don't understand
social media.
Like, I don't remember specific questions, but I remember Mitch McConnell asked a question like, bro, this man is so dumb. He's clueless.
There's a few politicians, I think, that actually understand social media. I'm not a huge fan of Dan Crenshaw.
I like him. He's funny.
For me, I don't dislike him as a person, but for me, when he started supporting red flag laws, I was done with him at that point. It was over for me. I was like, yeah, you're done. You're done.
Red flag laws kind of.
Yeah, it's retarded. So, but here's the thing: there's two politicians that I will say should lead the charge when it comes to how we deal with social media. I would say Ted Cruz and Matt Gaetz.
Matt Gaetz gets a pass. Ted Cruz.
This is why I would say Ted Cruz, because Ted Cruz is the balance. Matt Gaetz understands social media because this is his generation.
He was at our high school the other day.
This is his generation, right? So Matt Gaetz understands social media.
Oh yeah, he's a younger dude.
Ted Cruz is a statesman that understands this issue from a stately level. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the ins and outs. That's why I say that the combination of them two If somehow those two could get together and spearhead something to deal with these technocrat overlords, I think that would be a good. Jordan Jeffries, he's another one as well that I think understands. I tell you,
Jordan Jeffries seemed kind of goofy.
I tell you, politicians that I do not trust: Mitch McConnell.
Not like anybody trusts Mitch
Lindsey
McConnell.
Graham. Lindsey Graham is another one that he was standing behind the president only because it was expedient for him at the time. Oh yeah,
that's how I feel about. There's a lot of Republicans who
Republicrats.
Yeah. Well, okay. So now we're getting like political rhinos and stuff like that, right? People who are just in it for the bag, and it's. Oh my gosh!
I mean, there's people on both sides that are just in it for the bag.
Oh my gosh!
Many of them.
Oh my! It's so.
You think the squad really cares about the country?
I think the squad cares just as much about the country as Mitch McConnell does.
Yeah, I don't think they. Well, let me take that back. I'm not gonna say they don't care. They care about the direction they want. No, I do. I
she absolutely seems like she cares.
No. I absolutely do not. I do not. I don't dislike her. I dislike
what
her.
She stands for her
politically. I don't dislike her as a person.
Yeah, politically. So I was talking about as a person. As a person,
yeah, no. As
politically,
as a person, I have nothing against her, but politically, no. I think she is completely clueless, 100%. And I think she got elected by accident and gained so much popularity that it's going to be almost impossible to get rid of her now.
Yeah,
she's a staple. She's there. And I think most of the squad is that way. I don't think
political rhinos.
I don't think they. Well, she wouldn't be a rhino, of course, because she's a Democrat.
Not yet. Oh yeah, that's true.
But we'll have to come up with another name for Democrats.
What are they with the donkeys, right?
Dinos.
Political mules.
Democrats in name only.
Political mules.
Political mules. Okay, yeah, I can give it that. I can give it that. But like I said, a lot of these politicians, I don't dislike them personally. I don't know them personally. But their politics, yeah, I think they're definitely. They don't have the best interests of the country in mind.
Oh my goodness.
In my opinion, they don't care.
They don't care. It's not even an opinion at this point. Yeah. You're looking at someone like Nancy Pelosi.
Oh my goodness. So did you? The lady admitted that she voted for this new stimulus because there's a new president coming. This lady pretty much told us that if the previous
don't let a good crisis go to waste.
Exactly. If the previous stimulus was good for the American people, she didn't care because she didn't like Donald Trump. Listen. So this is what I gather from that. She hated Trump so much that she would burn the entire country down just to get to him.
Love him or hate him. The amount of people that suffer from TDS over the past 4 years
crazy,
is so aggravating. It's just like here's my thing, right? Here's my thing I realize about the always Trump people and the never Trump people, right? They're always paying attention to what this man is doing. They're always uninformed, and they can never make any decisions for themselves.
So all right. So here's what I see coming right now. We don't have any idea what's coming in the next couple months.
Civil war.
Yeah. What's going to happen? But let's say Joe Biden gets inaugurated. He's president.
Well, not for long. Kamala Harris is going to take over once they say he's mentally unfit.
Yeah. That's my guess.
President Kamala.
Yeah. But I think
she's black.
I think you're gonna have people on the right that are gonna do the same. I don't think to the same degree, but I think you're gonna have people on the right that do the same thing that people on the left did and just completely go nuts. Now, I have no opinion. I have no problem with somebody pointing out
Biden derangements.
Right, it's gonna happen. I'm telling you, I have no problem with somebody pointing out things that Trump did wrong, like, hey, he did this, he shouldn't have did that, and here's why politically. But then you have those people that this is wrong because Orange Man bad,
or somebody's like this is right because
Orange Man good, right? So you're gonna have that same thing with Joe Biden. People are gonna say it's right because Joe Biden did it, and then some people are gonna say it's wrong because Joe Biden mentioned it. It annoys me to no end that you can't get somebody that just sits down and says, let me look at this. Well, I don't think this is right, and here's my reasons. It's not just because of this person. Right. It's because of X, Y, and Z.
Oh, okay. This is kind of a little bit off topic, a little bit on topic, like centrism, right? I'm seeing a lot of people talk about centrism as like, oh, they're the problem. They're kind of the people that just stand idly by this and that, like choose. And it's only one part of the argument that's saying this. And I hope that they know, the people who are centrist, if they had to choose, hearing that, they probably wouldn't choose your side. I'm gonna keep it. And then the people who were talking about they should take the libertarian candidate off the ballot,
That's retarded.
They're not gonna vote for y'all. I hope you know.
Yeah, that's
libertarians
retarded.
aren't gonna vote in that favor. And I think this is where people don't understand.
Yeah,
that most normal people don't agree with everything that's been said on either side of the aisle. Most normal people are just like, listen, as long as it makes sense and it's not goofy, I don't care. But everybody thinks that somebody's either extremely this way or extremely that way, and it's like it's impossible to have anybody that's not thinking like I am freaking out about this or freaking out about that.
right.
And it's like,
and this is what I think people that make arguments like that don't see, like removing the libertarian candidate. Wait, so you calling for dictatorial control by two?
They
the
did
two parties?
in a few counties, like in California, they did.
I mean, so there's laws, there's ways they do things that are shady. Laws for preventing people from
trapping
getting put
people
on,
in this
on
two-party
ballots.
system. I'm saying this right now. I'm saying this right now vehemently. The next president is not going to be Democrat or Republican.
I agree with you. I agree. I think it's a high probability that the next president.
If Tulsi Gabbard goes independent,
policy wise, she's
willing to speak over the aisle.
She is
compromise.
She is,
right?
but I. So this is gonna sound messed up, but this is just me being honest. Tulsi Gabbard is a reasonable person that I don't trust. If that makes sense. She seems reasonable, but I don't. There's something about it. I'm just.
Oh, you think you should Russian plant?
And no, not to that degree.
No,
but just like, for instance, I'm gonna be honest. Anyone who was paying attention and supported impeachment politically, you're goofy. You goofy. Politically, you goofy.
Okay, so my thing is, right, it's the same thing with the voter fraud thing. You get what I mean? If you hold up, let me.
It's not.
Can I?
Go ahead. You can. I'm gonna blow it out the water right now. Go ahead.
I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna blow you out the water.
Okay, go ahead. Let's see.
So everybody was talking about we should look into the voting thing, right? They should be happy, right? Because if there's nothing wrong, then you're good. You're set.
Okay.
You pretty much said, yeah, look at that.
Okay.
Nothing's here. Same thing with impeachment, right?
Okay.
If you really believe that man is innocent, you should be like, okay, go ahead, do it, investigate him. You're not gonna find anything. And when they didn't, I was like, okay.
Right. Now let me blow you out the water. First, you're correct. There are many Republicans that said, yes, look into this. Let me ask you another question. What was the basis of them looking into him being a Russian plant?
There wasn't really any. There was none. Like one meeting they asked for. That
there was none.
Like, no.
There was none. There was no.
If anything, do you hear about the one where they asked to like help him and he was like, no?
There was no basis for it. Yeah. Nothing. There wasn't even circumstantial evidence.
But I'm just saying.
Okay.
How I see it, right?
It doesn't.
If you're not guilty, you'd be like, okay, yeah, here, let me help you out. Actually.
Okay, so let me blow this out the water. What was the evidence for President Trump colluding with Russians?
There wasn't any. It was all
circumstantial. Was
there people who were indicted?
Hold on. I'm gonna stop you. I'm gonna blow that out the water. What was the circumstantial evidence?
People were saying things. That's it.
That's not circumstantial evidence. That's hearsay.
According to Congress, it is.
That's hearsay. That's different.
But
now,
the thing is,
Let me explain to you why this is completely different from the voter fraud situation. You have thousands of sworn affidavits. This is people who are saying, under penalty of perjury, I will stand before a judge and stand behind what I'm telling you as fact. You have many instances of things that just don't make sense at all. You have a voting machine, and where was it? Michigan, that's in one county. It's just one county, right? But at swapped votes. This is a glitch. Now you're a programmer, right? So let me ask you a question. What is the likelihood that a glitch swaps Republican votes the Democrat and never does the opposite?
From a programming perspective?
Yeah.
No chance in hell.
Okay. That's now you good. You good? Okay. So now. Okay. So now,
like when you're programming something like that, right? If you have like a dependency where something goes wrong, I mean, it's likely to happen, but for it to be that specific and something that has to be like vetted pretty often, that has a lot of like quality control, right? It would take a lot for it to only have that error in one direction. Now speaking like programmingly, right? It's very likely that it did happen. Somebody messed up. Somebody, messed their code up. Oh snap! It just happens. There's a lot of runtime errors that happen that people never figure out, right? So it's likely, but the fact that it was only one way is kind of like, okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Looking at it from a programmer perspective, it might have happened by accident, but
highly. So
that just looks
percentage. What's the percentage of?
I didn't mean to say.
No, that's fine. So what's the percentage from a programmer? Now he's a programmer. So from a programmer's perspective,
I'm not good.
Anyway? What's the percentage you would give to a glitch like that happening?
I gotta think, because like.
Would you say there's an 85% chance, 1% chance
that it happened?
Yeah,
like on accident.
Yeah.
Oh, so the amount of like errors and glitches I've like had, right?
I'm saying
the fact that something that specific can happen.
So what's the likelihood?
And it doesn't get fixed, and it just happens at one direction, not the other. It's not very. I'm gonna keep it real. It's not very likely. I'm looking at it.
Would you say like 1%, a 1% chance?
You want me to ask one of my friends?
No, just give.
Because he's like way better. But I'm like, for my not professional, but like somewhat amateur perspective, that just seems pretty unlikely. Like,
okay,
it seems like that was purposely done, because when you're writing a program, especially for something like that, that's going to be affecting millions of people.
Okay,
you gotta have a lot of like insight and like quality control, and looking at Trello and looking at what was done, what wasn't done, what was hold up, what bugs you have, what runtime errors you have, and that is not something you just forget about. Right, like if a runtime error like that happens at one point in time, even if it's like only once, you look into that heavily and you figure out what it is, because that is not something.
Especially when you're talking about voting.
So that's not something you just serious. Like go like, oh, I had a runtime error with this.
Okay, all right. Whatever. Now that's one thing. The dude from the postal service contractor carried ballots from New York to Philly.
And when you saw you ever see the warehouse video of all the ballots that were just sitting there?
Okay. Now, I'm just bringing up some things. Now, the poll watchers being kicked out. It's a little odd.
A little weird.
Yeah, it's a little weird. All voting in the swing states pausing at around 1 or 2 a.m. election night.
Usually it like draws into the next day. Like they like have more people come in.
But that's not weird. That only in these swing states, it paused. Just those swing states that would have mattered most, it paused. This is what I'm pointing out is all of that circumstantial evidence is legitimate. It's huge, and it points to something went wrong. We don't know what, but something is wrong. So now,
as it stands now, right?
So
I'm not going to say there was full-on voter fraud.
We don't know that, but
I'm just going to say that's weird. Let's talk about weird stuff.
But do we have actual circumstantial evidence?
Yeah.
Was there anything like that for Russia collusion? Anything, even remotely close?
He has a bank account there. Oh, wait, no, he has a bank account in somewhere else.
Trump has a bank account in many countries because he's a businessman.
No, I mean, not really.
There wasn't. The only reason I say that is you said this was similar to Russia collusion, and I'm saying they're not even in the same ballpark. I'm not saying similar in
how it went down. I'm saying similar in how people should have reacted.
No, I disagree.
I mean, we're just going to have to agree to disagree.
I disagree.
Even if there wasn't any evidence, she'd be like, okay, yeah, go ahead. Look into it. Be wrong.
But so this is why I'm telling you they're different, because they did. Mitch McConnell did. What's his name? Lindsey Graham did.
I'm not saying they didn't react like that. I'm saying the reaction should have been the same.
That's what I'm saying is the Russia collusion situation and this situation is not the same. Not at all.
I think it's the same in how people should have reacted. I'll stand by that.
You're saying people should have reacted the same.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's what I've been saying this whole time.
Yeah, okay, my fault. Then I wasn't here because what I'm saying is they are not the same situation.
I think people are reacting differently. I think people should be like, yeah, look into it. Be wrong.
Right.
Go ahead.
Right.
Trumpy.
If nothing happened, investigate, seize the machines,
as much as you want.
Do whatever you want.
We
know Joe Biden won fair and square.
That's what I'm saying.
Joe Biden.
And there's people who are reacting like that. I'm like, okay.
Joe Biden, who tried to run for president several times, didn't make it past the primaries.
Stole some speeches.
Yeah, stole some speeches from people, plagiarized.
The thing I think is most surprising is he chose Kamala Harris of all people.
So here's another thing. She
was not liked in the primaries at all.
Let's not forget that Joe Biden is also the man. Remember, this is Black Lives Matter 20, not 2020. It's Black Lives Matter 20. Joe Biden is the same man that didn't want his kids going to school
in a racial jungle.
Yeah, he got more votes.
People said he changed his mind, but I'm like,
that's possible.
The fact that somebody like him won the primary, not Bernie Sanders, who's been as much as I disagree with him economically, he's been marching with like civil rights movements since like the 60s. Like there's literal pictures of him doing his thing. being a cool cat way back in the day. The fact that somebody like that, right, an autocratic, career diplomat, right, or career politician who just been doing nothing but grimy stuff for years on end, just makes me very angry. Like,
you know why he didn't though? Why they didn't run him? Because he's a full-on socialist, and it can be proved. You see what happened when the people.
I feel like the debates would have been better.
Hold on, let me finish. You see what happened when the Hispanic community in Florida got wind that it's a possibility that Joe Biden is a socialist. Florida went overwhelmingly for Trump,
especially a lot of the Cubans.
So what I'm saying is, Bernie Sanders is a socialist.
I don't know. There's a lot of people moving towards that way of thinking, right? Here's how I feel about it. We disagree about this vastly, right? I don't think everything about it is wrong. I think a good split would be nice, right? To have some things from socialism, some things from capitalism, like we do with how we run our government, we already a democratic republic.
Yeah, we already kind of do that. We have.
But the thing is, the systems we have in place don't work. So we gotta do a better job.
This is where
that's how I feel. We gotta do a way better job.
Okay, hold on.
Because even the welfare thing.
Hold on.
How that's run is garbage. Pause. If you start going to college, they take your money away. They should make that way more streamlined to get you to actually succeed instead of staying in a welfare state.
All right, let me show you where in your youth and exuberance, I get it. You think, and this is not me flexing because I'm dad, but
I feel like it is.
No, this is me literally telling you there's many things you don't understand, right? You think, especially because of your age, right? Yeah, there's some things about socialism that's right because it sounds good, right? Sounds good. We need to take care.
I think that helping people who need to be
there's
helped,
nothing wrong with that.
Who need help.
Okay, now
right? and are in a position to help themselves. I think that's a great thing. Is that an
you're
exuberance
right. You're
thing,
right.
Or is that a
hold on?
Thing?
It is exuberance. Let me show you.
It's exuberance to want to help people.
No, you're not.
But that's the question I'm asking.
All right, can I answer?
All right.
Okay, let me show you where you're wrong. Should the government do that? You want to give the government power to do that.
I never said I wanted to give the government
power. Okay,
so
then you're not for socialism. You're for people helping people. Difference. Socialism says the government takes your money.
The socialism is when you give the means of production to the worker.
It is, but this is all done by the government, right? So let me tell you.
I just thought you were explaining that.
Right? Yeah, no. Let me tell you what the misunderstanding about socialism and communism is. People think that socialism and communism means give the power to the people.
That's what they say.
That's what they say. you give the power to the government, who they say is the people.
Yo, so
that power never gets to the people. That's not how that works. And this is the problem. This is the problem with socialism. Hold on, let me say this. Let me get this out before we move on. I don't have a problem with helping people. My problem is it shouldn't be within the government's power to take what belongs to me from me to give to somebody else to help them. That is theft.
But you could say the same argument with the surplus value theory, right?
Okay, go ahead. Shoot with it.
You know about the surplus value theory?
Shoot with it.
Surplus value theory says that the work that you do, you don't get paid for the amount of work that you do. You get paid for a lower value than the work that you do. And if you actually got paid the value you brought to the company, it would be a lot more, right?
So I'm going to disagree.
That's the company taking what you worked for and giving it to themselves.
I'm going to disagree.
You're going to disagree because here's the thing. I'm not saying I agree or I disagree. I'm just saying here's the type of arguments you're going to get.
No, I know. I can blow it down easily. If you feel like the work that you're doing is worth more than what the company you're working for is paying you, give me one reason why you can't start something of your own.
Because you don't have enough time. You're too busy working like 40-hour weeks to have time.
Oh, so it's too hard.
No, it's some people just can't do it.
Oh, so
some people have kids and they have like stuff they gotta do.
Okay,
stuff they gotta figure out, and they're just stuck. Right.
So this is where your youth is showing.
Well, okay, but can I just make this point, right? Say you have like single mom, right? No support from the father of the kids whatsoever.
So we're not
right.
I think you're mixing two issues. Let's get back. I don't want to get off the direction of what we were on. We're talking about we're talking about a person who's getting paid by a company.
Okay.
The guy you worked for at that company in Fort Walton Beach.
The guy I worked for the company.
The software company. I didn't want to mention a name, right?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Don't mention the name.
I worked with a guy who's friends with him.
You worked with his dad.
No. I work with a guy who's friends with him.
No, his dad. Remember, like, you guys remember each other.
Is the guy I work with is friends with him, the guy who started the company.
Oh,
yeah.
But
hold on.
Because I remember us talking about this. That's why
so him and his dad start this company. They were working for another company. Do you think it was easy for him to start that company?
No. So I had asked him about it, and he talked at length about it because he got out of college and he just wanted to do like software at a desk. That's like what his original plan was. He kind of just wanted to like make something on the side with his friends,
right?
And started like in a garage, whatever, this and that,
right?
And they started getting like more traction from different companies doing like simulation stuff. I'm not gonna get very specific, but it's software stuff, right? And they got like a lot more, jobs and stuff like that, and they just started becoming bigger than what he was doing at his desk job. So then he could leave, but it never started as a need to thing. He just kind of like wanted to.
Here's my point. My point is, he was worth more than what the company he was working for was paying him. What did he do?
That's not what I was saying.
It's not. This sort of.
Follow.
Hold on. You have to stop and follow my line of thinking, right? Before you just dismiss it. Follow my line of thinking. What you're saying is, a company is not paying you what you are worth. We both have mentioned Tim Pool several times in this video.
Oh yeah, he
what did Tim Pool say?
Didn't he quit? I don't think he worked before. Did he quit his first job?
No, he worked for several multimedia companies.
Yeah,
Disney
and he was
Disney
like,
was one of them.
He was like, so he said what he said he did. He said his plan. Like he said what he did. He would make a lot of money.
Okay, but let me stop you for your ADHD cuts in. Let's
but it's a very interesting story.
The point being is that Tim Pool is proof of what I'm saying. He felt like what he had to offer, they were not giving him the time, the freedom, and the proper amount, even though they paid him well. But he said, look, man, I'm not going to sell out to you. What I offer you is more than just this. So he started his own thing.
I think the thing is, I don't think that it's an issue of it's too hard. It's an issue of a shift in generations, right? My generation has the most amount of mental health issues in any generation prior, right? And I think that doing things like that, when like a vast majorities of your population have mental health issues, doing something like that seems.
So you're gonna have to give me numbers. Just saying that. You're gonna have to give me numbers and compare that with other generations. And this is the only reason. This is the only reason I'm saying that. So this is my the hole in your argument. The argument is. So, and this is why I wanted to scale back and get back to how we started this. You were talking about, what was the theory that you were talking about? The surplus
value.
Okay, surplus value. So the argument is, if I understand it correctly, that companies are not paying people what they're worth. Right?
Right.
Okay. Do you know what goes into starting a company? You've been starting your own company with one of your friends, so I know you know this. How easy is that?
Easy as what?
Starting your own company. You're in the beginning stages. It's work, ain't it?
Hard.
It's work.
It's hard. You spend a lot of money and you don't get a lot of it back immediately.
So now, imagine you hire somebody and they say to you, let's say you hire somebody, let's say your company becomes decently big. You hire somebody and you pay them $50,000 a year and they say that's not enough. You need to be paying me. I need to make what you're making. What are you going to say to them?
Do it yourself.
You see what I'm saying? So the whole surplus value argument falls on his face. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if you feel like, hold on. Let me finish. If you feel like your company is not paying you enough, find another job or start your own thing. Otherwise, shut up and color.
I don't like that. I don't like the whole if you can't deal with it, shut up. Like, just change it.
No, that's not what I don't mean it that way. This is what I mean. You're telling me that this company doesn't pay me enough. They need to pay me more. So is the argument that we need to force these companies to pay these people more? Jeff Bezos built his company. I don't like all his tactics, but he built his company.
Modern day Lex Luthor.
He built his company. It's his. I'm not a fan of Bill Gates. I'm not a fan of his tactics, but he built his company. Should we force him to pay all of his employees $200,000 a year? They didn't build that company. He did.
All right. I might have been off it. It's not the fact that we have more mental health, which is more likely to talk about it than previous generations.
Okay, so now let's get back to what I'm.
That's kind of weird though.
What I'm saying,
because like I bet like a lot of those like baby boomers who were in like an actual war probably had like a lot more mental health issues.
But this is what they did. This is what they did though.
They beat their wives.
No,
did that, dude? They did
this. But hold on. This is what I'm saying. What I'm getting to is, who promised anybody that life was going to be easy?
Nobody. I'm not saying.
All right, let me finish my thought before you interrupt. Because I'm trying to lead you somewhere, but you're interrupting before we can get there. You made your point about the surplus value theory. So what I'm telling you is, so let's get back to that point, right? About the surplus value
if
value.
You feel
theory.
like, so from what I'm getting, what you're saying is, if you feel like somebody's not paying you enough, do your own thing.
Either go somewhere else, or somebody will pay you. I'm gonna show you an example. Every time I've ever worked for a company that I did not feel like was paying me what I deserved,
can I, untangle this for 1 second?
You can.
It kept hitting. Sorry.
So
this is a pretty good conversation.
Every time I felt like a company wasn't paying me what I deserved.
Oh, you know what? I can hear you.
You know what I did? I got another job.
Yeah, I do remember.
More.
There was that. I remember the one place. I'm not gonna say that, but I remember the one place you hated.
I hate it.
You hated it so much.
So this is what I'm saying. Right now, I believe the company I'm working for is paying me what I'm worth. Now, would I like to make more? Absolutely.
Everybody would like to make more money.
Yes, but I believe that I got to the point where I believe I'm working for a company that pays me what I'm worth. So what I'm saying is, the whole argument that, oh, they're not paying me what they supposed to be paying me, so they need to pay me more. If you feel that way, go somewhere else or start your own.
Yeah. But a lot of times people say, oh, well, we're trapped in this system of...
You're not trapped.
Capitalism.
You're not trapped. That's...
You have to make money in order to survive, which is true.
This is true.
You can't just go save up, buy a plot of land, start growing your own stuff.
When has there ever been a time where you didn't need something to sustain, something to barter with to sustain? That time has never existed.
Yeah.
Unless you go back to Adam and Eve.
I'm just bringing up arguments because I do a lot of reading into leftist theory.
No, I read
a lot of that and a lot of libertarian.
I do too, and that's why I'm glad you bring these up. So for those of you who might not know, listening to this podcast, me and my son talk about a lot of these things, and I know he reads a lot of these things, and that's why I
have friends.
That's why I say I'm gonna blow it out the water, because and this is not an attack on him, but we talk about these things. We both kind of do the same thing.
I still think that some things in socialism don't sound that bad.
So my problem with it is, socialism works if every man is out for the common good of every other man.
Let me bring something up real quick. There was a show I watched. I don't remember the name of it because I stopped watching it like midway through, but it was like where a bunch of teenagers got transported to a parallel universe, right?
Why does that sound familiar?
Because you watched it, but I don't remember the name, but you know what I'm talking about.
Parallel universe.
It was on Netflix, and I can't remember the name to save my life. But right, how they had things set up, they set it up to where it was kind of like a socialist communist system, right? And it worked. It worked very well. But the only reason it worked was, right, it was such a small number of people, and there were actually a finite amount of resources. Even though there are a finite amount of resources, the amount of time it would take to go through all of them it's immense.
Not only
as
that,
much as all these economists are not economists, it's like a lot of journalists are saying like, oh yeah, we're reaching a point where we're not gonna have enough resources to survive. Like maybe in third world countries where they need a little more help, but as far as like we're concerned, it's not really.
So here's the problem with
socialism. Works if the community is small enough.
Not even just that.
No, I'm sticking by that.
Yeah, not even just that.
I'll stick to my guns on that.
Okay, let me show you an example. I'm gonna give you a perfect example. You're not gonna be able to dispute this. Now, for those of you who might think this is a slight, this is not. I'm bringing this up because this is reality.
Wake up to reality.
So me and their mom get along, but as far as a couple, we wouldn't get along. So do you think me and her in a confined space would work with the socialist system?
No, that's okay. Hold on, that's anecdotal though, because you guys already have issues and you have prior.
No, let me
stuff to that.
What I'm saying. Hold on. Wait. you're letting your ADHD come out.
No, I have a point.
Hold
though.
on. I didn't get to my point.
Your point doesn't make any sense.
No, it does make sense. This is why it makes sense. Socialism it doesn't just only work if it's a small environment. It only works if there's a small environment, that's one variable, where everyone agrees. You got to have agreements. Yeah. Just if you have a Muslim and a Christian in a socialist environment, how far you think they're going to get with that? A fundamentalist Muslim and a fundamentalist Christian, how far are you going to get with that?
Maybe if they're like an Old Testament Christian, they might, but aside from that, it's gonna be some fighting.
The thing is, what I'm saying
what I'm saying is, right, in specific circumstances where you have to come together, right, and you have to agree in order to survive, it works.
Oh, yeah, completely different. Yeah, that's right? Completely different.
But if you're just like if you're just on the planet, people are just doing their own thing. Everybody's doing their own thing. Everybody's always going to be doing their own thing unless there's like a post-apocalyptic event where we have to come together as a people to survive. I don't think it's going to work. Now, if we get like invaded by aliens, like a post-apocalyptic thing, I'm all for it. Let's go ahead and do it. That's probably the best way for the human race to survive, right? But as it stands now, we're in times of peace. Everything's kind of just chilling.
All right, so I'm gonna dismantle the idea of socialism, but I'm gonna use the Bible to do it.
I think you're missing my point.
Hold on, no, this is what I'm saying. Socialism works if every man, out of the goodness of his heart, is out for the common good of every other man.
Right.
But in order for that to be true, I have to disagree with the Bible. The heart is deceitful and desperately wicked above all things. Who can know it? So what I'm telling you is, I'm not saying socialism doesn't work because all of its ideas are bad.
Socialism doesn't work because people are bad.
Bingo.
No, yeah,
that is why it doesn't work.
I'm still looking into this. Apparently there's some argument for that. I haven't read that yet. There's probably gonna be one I later reads. But
the reason there is no argument for that,
I don't think there's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, because the Bible is right.
You could just list like the many atrocities that have gone on through human time.
Period.
And just be like, what about this? What about this?
Because the thing is, you're always going to have the strong men, right? So take a community of 20 people. You're always going to have those one or two people that at some point realize that they have more power than everyone else.
Yeah. Even in that show I was talking about, there was this one dude who kind of like abused his power.
There you go.
Got a little too
there you go.
But then he got exiled.
There you go. But there's always going to be that person. Yeah. There's always going to be that person. Yeah, you're not going to escape that.
I'm not here to just completely dookie on socialism all the time. Because there are some ideas that I'm like, okay, this is something that could be thought about. It's very interesting.
The thing is that
I don't think it's the end all be all. Just like I don't think capitalism is the end all be all. The fact that people will subscribe fully to any one ideology is kind of ridiculous to me, because there's bad things and there's good things about both. That's why everybody always calls me a centrist, because I can't fully subscribe to anything, because I'm not gonna stick my head in the sand and be like, this works 100% of the time or this works 100% of the time. That's ridiculous.
I'll tell you where I am with capitalism, socialism, and communism. You have different approaches, and that's why I can subscribe to capitalism. That doesn't mean I'm saying everything about capitalism is correct, right? Just like I subscribe to the democratic republic we have. That doesn't mean I'm saying everything about it is correct. I think the system we
have works perfectly fine.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
I think the democratic republic that we have is a perfect example of why, if you have two opposing systems, you look at what's good about both of them and include it. So,
to a degree. And this is why I say that.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
This is why I say that, because socialism and communism wants to. They want to give you the illusion that we're giving you the power, right? Look at all of the socialist and communist governments. Look at Venezuela. Look at the USSR before it collapsed. Look at Nazi Germany. Look at Mao Zedong. We can go on.
I'm glad I did this, because this gave me an idea for a podcast. I haven't had an idea for a podcast in a hot minute.
We can go on forever with these regimes that wanted to restore power to the people. They didn't want to restore power to the people, and that was never the purpose of socialism or communism.
It's always funny when people say Mao was a capitalist. He was an industrialist, but his party was literally named.
Yeah,
Chinese Communist Party.
They know what they need to do to make money. That doesn't mean that they are
It's the same. Okay, so I think that both idols of the spectrum are completely stupid in this effect, right? Making a lot of money mean capitalism. Government do stuff mean socialism, and both of those are just very simplistic ways of thinking about both of them, and they lead you to get nowhere because both sides of the spectrum think that way. So it's like you're looking at this and you're like, bro, both of you guys are idiots. You guys don't even understand what you don't like, and it's very weird.
So I will say this: capitalism is a far superior idea than socialism and communism. Now, with the caveat, I'm not talking about unrestricted capitalism, right? Like capitalism,
narco-capitalism
with no rules. That's not what I'm talking about.
Libertarians shaking in their boots right now.
What I'm saying is, I am 100% behind you being able to profit off the fruit of your labor.
Yeah.
You created a widget.
But what about the
people want
value?
People want the widget. They buy the widget. That's simple. They decided your widget is valuable enough that they buy it.
The thing is, if you're a worker for the company that makes the widget, your surplus value is being stolen.
It's not. You don't have to work there. Find me somebody that's forced to work at a company.
Well, okay.
In the United States,
when you're in a place that doesn't have very many jobs, there's only one place that's hiring. Like
you can move. I just moved halfway across the country because I couldn't find a job here. I could have stayed here.
You had the resources to do so, and everybody has that.
What I'm saying is, so I'm gonna shoot you down again, right? Because the same argument you're using is the same thing people say when they say, well, it's because impoverished people, we don't have degrees, and I'm all of that. Grew up impoverished with no degree. I go to where work is.
Yeah. Because I think we've talked about this before. It's a matter of mindsets and how people live their lives,
So again,
I think that boils down any type of like political or economic argument you can have. Because I was talking with one of my friends. He's one of the people who put me on the leftist server, where I talk to people sometimes, and we were talking about like the morality of it. I'm like, listen, we can go back and forth and have a moral grandstanding contest for years, if not hours, right? That's just gonna be a convoluted conversation. That type of conversation you can't really have because everybody has different morals because everybody grew up differently. Everybody saw things differently. People experience different things. You get what I mean? I think that's where a lot of these arguments can boil down to. It's just what you believe morally and your own mindset.
But what you can't do though is you can't make truth arbitrary. Truth is truth.
That's true.
And that's the one thing I don't like about the socialism, communism, capitalism, democratic republic comparisons, right? Like we can't deny the truth. The truth is you're always going to have a strong man that wants control. This is why the founding fathers were so genius in the way they designed the government. This is what I was going to bring up to you earlier that we didn't get to because ADHD kicked in.
Hey, it's not my fault.
But anyway, we were talking about the president, right? And we were talking about term limits. The thing that I was going to bring out and I was going to say, and this is not a slight. I don't think you understand the gravity of how the founding fathers designed the system.
No, it's kind of
people assume that the president has all this power. We have three separate but equal branches of government.
I don't know. I make a lot of jokes about it, but I don't think much is really going to change as far as like when Joe Biden becomes president. I don't know. I'm not going to be one of these people that jump out the window and go, oh, Joe Biden is elected. Yeah. We're done. We're screwed. It's all over. That's a possibility. Like I joke about it. I say things.
That's a possibility because he's in the pocket of China. So I think that apathy could be what leads us to destruction. Maybe things do change. Does that mean it's guaranteed? That's where I'm like, all right, pump the brakes.
Yeah.
Not
as far as the Civil War thing goes, we got way to the opposite end of the spectrum.
and you know what proves that? Like me and you, like sometimes people think that me and him agree on everything, and we actually, as you can see from this podcast, we disagree a lot.
This man's an idiot.
But me and him always have conversations because we both understand I don't have to agree with you to have a conversation with you. Like this is where you learn. Like he said things and I'm like, you know what? Ezekiel has a point. I need to think about that. If you can't have a conversation, that's when the fighting starts.
Yeah. Looting starts, shooting starts.
And that's I think that's where we're at. We're at the point where people
whenever I saw
conversations.
Whenever I saw the video of the lady doing the which I was like,
oh my goodness, yeah, that was crazy. That was real crazy. I don't. This is what I think. I hope and I pray to God that whatever happens inauguration day, whatever goes down, I pray I pray that we can get to the point where we can have our disagreements and we can actually have conversations so we can figure out, all right, what's going on? Because there's the thing. Nobody wants to be wrong, but somebody is wrong. Yeah. We have to have a conversation to figure out, okay, which one of us is wrong? Because one of us is wrong. We got to figure this out.
That's true. Before we go, you hear what your orange buddy said?
What my orange buddy said?
He's telling all the supporters to come down.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Inauguration day. It's gonna be crazy.
I'm telling you, I have no idea what's gonna happen. But after 2020,
you never know.
Aliens are gonna come down. It's gonna be.
I hope so. Make something interesting. Boring. This year's been boring, man.
It's gonna be like what's that one movie remake they did with Tom Cruise?
Oh,
was it Mars Attacks? What is it called?
I know what you're talking about. I remember exactly what the aliens look like too.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I can't remember the name of that movie, but that's what's gonna happen. Yeah. They're gonna start coming out the like woodworks.
Monsters vs. Aliens. President's just playing keyboard.
Oh man, it's gonna be bad because like some people they think, oh, aliens gonna come and it's gonna be all good. No,
it's gonna be the wildest thing ever.
This is what's gonna happen. These are gonna be the beings that God created and
to destroy us.
And they found out about God creating us and us being the center of the universe, and they don't like it, so they want to come destroy all of us. That's what it's gonna be. Anyway, with all that stuff being said, y'all know what it is. Stay frosty, people.